With the number 8 selection, Dyson Daniels is headed to New Orleans. Locked On Pelicans is here. Jake Madison, we have to check in with you. What was your immediate reaction here when we heard this pick at number 8?
I think it's a great selection for New Orleans, and this is who they wanted. They went out and they got their guy. You know, there was a lot of rumors of them potentially trading back, but I think they decided this was the guy they wanted. The draft broke perfectly well, and this is one of the first guys they brought in for a workout, a guy that they were very high on, and it gives positional versatility, which is something that this team really values. You know, Daniels is 6'7.5" with a near 6'11" wingspan, can guard multiple positions on the perimeter. He's a playmaker too. This is a guy that can run their second unit right away as a rookie, is going to fit in nicely with Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson, C.J. McCollum, and then last year's rookie Herb Jones. I think they feel really good about this pick. You know, really the only knock on him is his lack of shooting. He did not shoot well for the G League Ignite last season, but they have one of the better shot coaches in the league in Fred Vinson, and I think they believe they can bring that along. And at that point, I think the Pelicans feel like they got a top 5 guy.
We're going to bring in some of our national guys, our NBA big board guys, Richard Stayman, Leaf Tulane here as well, as we want to get their opinions on this. Leaf, I'll start with you. Obviously, there was a little bit of a mix and change in the early couple picks in this draft, but is this kind of where you saw Daniels going off the board, and how does he fit in with New Orleans?
Yeah, I thought Daniels would go pick 7 or 8. I was a little surprised that the Blazers didn't take him at 7, but 8 makes sense for his range. I think his fit with the Blazers is pretty seamless. He's a jumbo facilitator who draws comparisons to Lonzo Ball defensively. And I think you saw Lonzo play for these Pelicans. They're a little different now, but he fit that mold very well. Up-tempo guard who can pass the ball and defend. And they have their scores, especially if Zion comes back healthy. And I don't think he's going to be pressed into scoring a ton. And he'll be able to pass the ball, defend, and elevate this team with a young core. And I like the fit for Daniels, and I'm curious to see how many minutes he plays early on versus how later in the season, because those Pelican youngsters seem to progress very well, and he played against professional basketball players in the G League all along.
Absolutely. Jake, that's kind of what a question I was going to have for you is how much of an impact can he have right out of the gate? Obviously, New Orleans had that great run late last year in the playoffs. So is this something where he's going to come in immediately and have an impact, or is he going to have to work his way in?
I think he's going to have to work his way in. Certainly the starting lineup for the Pelicans is set, and I think you've seen with kind of those young guys really stepping up this past year. For the most part, the rotation is about 9-10 deep or so, and those guys really aren't going to be losing their minutes just yet. I think they knew with this pick they could kind of take a longer runway. They didn't need a guy to come in and contribute right away. They went with the kind of the high upside play that also fits, knowing they can bring that guy along slowly because there is some depth here. So I don't see him getting minutes early on in the season. If he develops defensively and he is able to guard 2-3 positions, I think you could see him getting more minutes as the season goes on. And certainly that's going to be the goal for New Orleans. And it's also going to depend on his 3-point shot. He wowed the team in their workout with his 3-point shooting. They felt really confident that that's a skill that he will be able to work on. If he can start draining threes, this is a team that needs some help from deep, and that's a good way for him to try and get into this rotation sooner rather than later.
Richard, I want to check in with you on this. Obviously, New Orleans made a late run last year. They kind of surprised some people just with their youth and what they were able to do in the postseason. But adding in, a high lottery pick here, what kind of expectations are they going to have on them coming up next year?
Yeah, the start of the season for the Pelicans, it was the worst in the NBA. They had one win through almost 15 games. And it was because they didn't have somebody who could really connect everybody else. The old phrase used to be a glue guy who just put everything together. Now the new phrase is connecting tissue. You look at somebody who can defend multiple positions, can handle the ball, can get to the rim, needs to get better at finishing, but you look at the raw skills and just what he will be able to do when players eventually miss time. That's just the nature of the game. Zion Williamson will be out at times. Brandon Ingram will be out at times. C.J. McCollum will miss time. When they're out, now it gets a lot easier to miss those players because of Dyson Daniels.
And Jake, I want to close things out with you, obviously, with, this young talent on this team, Zion hopefully coming back sooner than later. Is there any other roster moves? Do you see them sending anybody out, or is there anybody that now is kind of become dispensable at this point?
Yeah, there's probably another trade or two, kind of minor ones tinkering around the edges for this Pelicans team. After this pick, their roster, they don't have an open roster spot. So if they want to do something in free agency, they do need to do some sort of lopsided trade where they send out 2 guys, bring 1 back. I think you could see Devontae Graham on the move, the big free agent they signed last year from the Charlotte Hornets. He was disappointing this past year for New Orleans, didn't shoot the 3 ball well. I think you could also see them potentially move on from former first-round pick, 8th overall, Jackson Hayes. This is a guy that's going to be a restricted free agent. I don't think they really want to pay him long term. I wouldn't be shocked if they try and move both or one of those guys out to kind of consolidate and open a roster spot for them to at least be bit players in free agency.
All right, we'll have to see how things shake out during the rest of this offseason and, of course, training camp. Thank you all for joining us. For a little bit more, we're going to check in with Locked On NBA Big Board's Sam Ferris to see exactly what Dyson Daniels is going to bring to this Pelicans team.
Dyson Daniels is a 6'8" combo guard prospect by way of the G League Ignite. He's one of my favorite prospects in this class. I love how he's able to guard across multiple positions defensively. That versatility is so effective, and we've seen it, the importance of that in the playoffs. That's something he can provide from day one. My name is Sam Ferris. You can follow me on Twitter at DraftDummies. And one comp that I like in terms of a comp to a current NBA player is Lonzo Ball. Due to that defensive versatility, the size at the combo guard position, plus I really like Dyson Daniels' ability to facilitate from the perimeter offensively, and he can play either on or off the ball. And so a very versatile, a very scalable prospect. I've got him as a lottery level prospect in this year's draft class.